Welcome to Throttle Only. My name is Nate. This is a 2024 BMW X4 M40i. Let's check it out. All right, y'all, so I'm in front of this beautiful M40i. We're gonna go ahead and start by talking about the front exterior styling here, and we're gonna start by talking about the hood here. So on this hood, there are actually 6 body lines, but because of this alpine white color, you can't really notice them, but there are 2 that are just above the headlights here. And then the other 4 body lines here are pretty obvious here, and they really just direct your attention straight down to this beautiful BMW badge. As we make our way down further, you cannot mistake this grille here. It is the kidney grille for BMW, and I really love that it is blacked out. It just looks so amazing. Behind that kidney grille, you might notice there are some struts there. There's a little bit of space in between where that radiator is and that grille, and that just makes it look even cooler. And as we look at this grille even further here, there is a camera up front here, which is very nice. That way you're not gonna curb anything. And then also on that beautiful kidney grille there is a little M badge there because it's an M40i. As we make our way down a little bit more, we have, of course, tons of venting here because this is a performance SUV. There's venting on the sides here. Something that is interesting to note here about the front venting, though, is on the passenger side, you have one section that's open, and then on the left side or the driver's side, it's blocked off. So now we'll take a minute to just talk about these headlights here. So they are LED projector headlights. They have very nice dimension in them and 3D effects. The daytime running lamps are in a beautiful white color there. And then when you go ahead and turn on the turn signals or the hazards, there's one piece on each lateral side there that will illuminate in an amber color, which I think looks super nice. All right, so now that we're at the side of the vehicle, just take in this silhouette. I mean, this thing looks so nice. Let's start by talking about the wheels here. I really love the design on these. I think they look really sick. And then also, it really adds to the overall appearance here, having these red calipers with that nice M logo on it. The tire size up here at the front is 245/40. In the rear, we have 275/35. As we make our way up just a little bit, there is a little bit of a fender flare and a little bit of design styling pieces here that are body colored. I think that looks pretty cool as well. As we come on back just a little bit, there is a vent here just behind the wheel wells on either side. And then coming on up here, looking at these mirrors, these are the M-style mirrors that are blacked out. I think they look super aggressive and definitely add to the overall appearance. On the outside of the mirror, there is an LED indicator. These do fold in, and it also has blind spot monitoring in it as well. And if you look closely, there is a camera underneath there on both mirrors because this does have a surround view camera system. And now as I bring your attention up here to the roof, since this does kind of add to the side profile of the vehicle, I do have the roof up right now, and you can see there's a little shield there at the very front. I think that looks pretty nice from the side. And then coming on back down to these door handles, they're pretty chunky door handles. It does have your proximity sensing and everything like that you might expect in a luxury vehicle. There are also 2 body lines that I can spot here on the side profile of the vehicle here. There's one that lines exactly with those door handles here. And then as you come on down, kind of where there's a little bit of a side skirt here, there is also a body line just above that. And there's no fuel door on the driver's side here. The fuel door will be located on the passenger side. So now that we're at the rear of this beautiful M40i, we're gonna start at the top here with this body-colored shark fin antenna here. And as we make our way down, still on the roof though, there is a roof spoiler here, and I just love the dimension that this thing has. It also looks like you could put your finger right underneath one of these little lips here, but in fact, it is blocked off. As we make our way down on top of the trunk here, there's no spoiler, but there is just a little bit of a lip that gives it an illusion of a spoiler. On the very back of the trunk here, there's a beautiful BMW badge there. And I just want to take a minute to just look at all of the body lines here on the back. I don't think I've really noticed body lines on the back of a vehicle before, but there's 2 apparent ones that at least I can see here. The first one is above that BMW badge, and then the second one is just below it. And then making our way down here, there are 2 badges here. One of them is an X4 badge, and the other one is an M40i badge, which of course is my favorite. And then it has a pretty nice blacked out diffuser as well. I think it could be a little bit more aggressive, but I still think it looks very nice. And then on the sides here, there's very cool dual exhaust tips that are blacked out. Man, it just makes the rear end look super aggressive. And the very last thing to look at here are these taillights. I think the taillights look very nice, but I think they could look a lot better, especially when the turn signals are turned on. It doesn't illuminate in an amber color, instead it is a red color. And I also think that these lights could also be in a sequential pattern as well, because they are extremely long. But regardless, even with the standard parking lights on, this thing looks very beautiful from the rear. There are 3 core models for the BMW X4. The base model is the X4 xDrive 30i, then the M40i, and the top trim is the X4M. The starting MSRP for an X4 M40i is $66,400 US. I'll walk through the design of this vehicle just in case someone wants to spec this one out. So the color is Alpine White. It has the 21-inch M dual spoke bicolor black 718M wheels. It has the Decora red leather upholstery, the carbon fiber trim, and then here's a look at some of the options or the add-ons that you can choose from. Under the hood, it has a 3-liter BMW M twin power turbo inline 6-cylinder. It produces 382 horsepower, 369 pound-feet of torque. It has an 8-speed automatic transmission, xDrive all-wheel drive, and for the fuel economy, it gets 21 in the city and 26 on the highway. So now that we've seen the engine bay, let's take a listen to what these dual exhausts sound like. There are 3 different drive modes. There's an Eco Pro mode, a Comfort mode, and a Sport mode. I'm gonna go ahead and let you listen to all of those modes. So looking at the trunk space here, I'm gonna go ahead and use the kick system here. Just kick right under the license plate there and it'll go ahead and open. And as far as controls, at the very top here, we have a close button. We also have a close and a lock button. Coming on down here, you can see there's a decent amount of room in here. And there's a little tab right here. If I go ahead and lift that and pull, you can see there is a spare there. And then on the sides here, there's a nice grocery hook there. And there's also a 12-volt adapter in here. On the sides, if you want to store some stuff, you can just reach under here and pull this little panel off. There are some wires back here, but there's a little area for you to store some items down here. And then on this side here, if you want to do the same thing, you can go ahead and pull this panel off here. And then again, there's a little bit of storage on this side as well. So there's also some cargo covers here. So at the very top, you can see this is a cargo cover. And then when the trunk is closed, it'll actually just match perfectly into this one here. Both of the cargo covers can be removed. For this one right here, all you have to do is push up here and you can take this out. And then as you can see, the seats back here will also fold down. There's a 3-way split here. To let down each of the seats, you'll have to use the tab right here. There's also one located right here in the middle seat, and then on this side as well. With all of those seats folded down, you can see here it's pretty flat. And here's what it looks like approaching the vehicle here with all of the seats folded down. So before we hop on into the rear seats here, let's look at this door panel here. So there is a small little window right here that will not retract. And then here's your standard window here. Some nice contrast stitching here and some nice leather material. And then beautiful carbon fiber here. And you might not be able to tell, but there is an ambient lighting strip right here. And I'll show you what that looks inside the vehicle here. There you go. And then coming on back to the door handle here, there's a nice little speaker grill here. A nice beautiful X logo right there. Some nice aluminum material. Nice red leather, some black leather down here. A window switch. This is like some hard rubbery material, feels pretty good. And then you do have some storage down below from here. And this is just a very plastic material in here. All right, y'all, so I'm sitting in the rear seats of this X4, and there's a decent amount of room in here. I do have the seats adjusted for my own height at 6'1", and there's just maybe about a centimeter or an inch of room here for my legs, but there is ample room for my feet. Behind the driver and the passenger, there's a nice cargo net here, and then some nice plastic material there. These seats are very comfortable as well, and I really love the color of this red leather. In the very center, there is an armrest here with some cup holders. You just have to push a little button and it'll go ahead and pop out. And up on the roof, there's some nice accessory lights as well as some hooks. And of course, there's this giant panoramic roof here, but unfortunately, it only opens about halfway, but it still looks very nice and makes the back seat a little bit more comfortable. In the very center here, behind the center console here, there is a small LCD panel here for your climate control, and there are also 2 vents. And down from there, there are 2 USB Type-Cs. Additionally, for the rear seats, there's also a tilt option. All you have to do is pull this little lever right here, and then doing so simultaneously move the seat in the position that you want. So let's take a look at what the passenger experience is like, starting with the door panel here. So same beautiful materials we saw here in the rear. I just love this carbon fiber. You have your unlock and locking controls there. Also love this X. It's very tasteful. 1 window switch. Nice padded armrest here. Some storage down below there. And then coming on in, there's a nice M sill here. And then on the floor, there's an X4 logo right there. Looks pretty nice. Glove box above there. Another ambient lighting strip here. You can see a little bit of blue peeking out here. A vent for the passenger. And a beautiful dash as well. And some more carbon fiber right here. And now looking at the seat here. Automatic seat controls. There's also a thigh adjustment on here, which is pretty nice. That is manual. And then just look at this beautiful red leather seats here. And this does have the heated option on it. And now on the driver's side, starting with the door panel, it's the exact same thing as the passenger side, except for this panel here. Obviously, we have a lot more window controls here. You can also lock the windows as well. And then you have some mirror controls here, and then also a trunk button that is there as well. Now moving on into the vehicle, there is an M sill here. Same nice controls here we had on the passenger side. Beautiful red leather seats here. And then coming on down into the footwell here. Same X4 mats here. And then you have some rubber and aluminum pedals down here. So moving on into the vehicle here, on the left side of the steering wheel, there are all of the lighting controls here. And then you can also adjust the brightness and turn on certain parking lights to each side. And here's a look at the center console / armrest area here. You can see it's very padded. Then as I open it on up, there's a good amount of storage here. You could even store stuff on this little pocket right here. And then there's 1 USB Type-C. And then some textured area in there that you can store stuff. And here's a look at the center items here, starting with the shift lever here. The parking button is on the back of it. And then up here, you have a traction control off button, a camera button right there. And if I push that, it'll bring up the camera right there. And then there's also different modes for the camera as well. This does have a front camera. And then there's also a parking button right there. And when I push that, it'll bring up the reverse camera and then some other options there. There's also a start engine stop button here, sport, comfort, and eco pro modes, a hill descent mode button, which is right here, an auto hold button, an electronic parking brake. Then you have a very nice rotary dial here to control the menu, and then there's also some nice buttons here. Up from there, we have this very nice cover here, a very nice M logo here as well. And as I lift this up, it reveals 2 cup holders here, a wireless charging pad, and then 1 USB Type-A. So here's a look at this center area here, starting at the bottom here. So you have a nice volume knob right here, and you can also just quickly mute. You can also skip tracks here, and then this is probably my favorite. This area right here, if I were to just gloss my finger over it, you can see at the very top here, it'll let you know all of the favorites that you have selected here. Currently, I only have 1, which is for trips. And then up from there, there's some nice climate control options here. Heated seat option with 3 different levels here. There's a nice LCD screen here as well. Very easy to use buttons. You can pull up the menu for the AC very quickly just by pushing that button there. And you have a hazards button here, and then you also have your safety options button right there. So now looking at the center screen here, it's very easy to use, especially using the rotary dial down below with your nice buttons. So I'm going to push the home button here, and then this is the home button, and then you can easily just swipe here, and it'll give you some quick information here. And then you can also swipe to the very side here and go to car. And then when you go to car, it'll tell you all the settings here. You have driving information, there's trip data, sport displays, driving style analysis, your X view, your engine flow. And here's a look at the engine flow there. And then coming on back to vehicle status, there's tire pressure, engine oil, check control messages, required services. And then settings is pretty much where your layout will be. There's general settings right here, all of the general things you might expect. And then you can also customize your drive mode. You have eco and sport here. Your exterior lighting, driver assistance, your display, since this does have a head-up display. And then you can also configure the digital tach right here as well. And then you can configure the doors and the vehicle access, the interior lighting, and that's where you'll be able to configure your ambient lighting. You can see here I currently have it in blue. And then here's the climate control menu right there. Then you can also control what happens when you push specific buttons on your key fob here. And then finishing up with this pretty nice display here. This does have Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, and that's primarily what I use, of course. And then there's also car carrying. If you go ahead and push that, you have Vitalize and Relax. It'll basically just turn the car into a specific mode that will either relax you or revitalize you. And there's driver profiles that you can add, the owner's manual, and regulatory notes. So now here's a look at the steering wheel. Beautiful BMW logo here in the center, and you can see there's a very nice leather pattern here or material. And then this steering wheel is very chunky as well. On the underside of the steering wheel, I'm not sure if it'll pick up here, but you have your nice M colors here, a nice M logo at the bottom, and then your heated steering wheel option right there. And then on the left side here are all of your cruise control options here. This does have paddle shifters, which is on the back here. And on this side here, you have your volume controls here. And you can also use this rotary dial here to adjust what you see here in the very front for your head-up display. And here's a look at the digital instrument gauge cluster. And this, I have it configured to change depending on the drive mode. So currently I am in comfort. Here's a look at the sport mode here. And here's a look at Eco Pro. So going back into the Sport Plus mode here, if I want to adjust this little gauge right here, there's an area or a stalk right here. You just push this BC button right there. And then it'll kind of just go through a small little menu here of options. And there we are. So up above, this does have a pretty nice sunroof. These are your controls here. And this will bring back the shade just like so. And then you can also open the window as well. And it'll only open to about halfway here, but it still is very nice. And then there's a nice little partition right here. And then looking at these visors, a pretty decent size, very small mirror, however. And let's go ahead and take these down. And they do extend back as well. And before we head on out and take this for a drive here, here's a look at the key fob. So here's the front. You have your unlock, lock controls here, a nice BMW logo right there. And then on the back, there's really nothing, but on the sides here, you have some nice M colors. Oh my gosh. Oh, there's 60 already. This thing from 0 to 60 is extremely fast. The shifts are super quick as well. Let's go into first gear, going about 25 miles an hour. Oh my God, this thing is so much fun. So you also have the manual mode shifter down here. I'm gonna go ahead and use that. You just slide it over to the left there, and then now you can just push forward for decreasing your gear and then back for increasing. Honestly, I think that is a little bit more fun doing it that way. It just gives it a little bit more theater. There's just something about driving a big old SUV like this that is so powerful. I mean, I was getting 0 to 60 in I think like 4.6 seconds or something like that. Look at my shorts, by the way. I have a bunch of how fast videos or 0 to 60s. You might be interested in those. So anyway, coming back to this vehicle here, So this steering, especially in Sport Plus mode here, is super nice and very direct. Try out the brakes here as I approach a stop sign. Honestly, the brakes got some bite to them as well. Giving it some juice in a corner. Oh yeah, this is fun. I'm gonna go ahead and slide it on back over here. So I'm gonna put it into comfort mode here and see how it handles. So yeah, in comfort mode, it definitely is a little bit more floaty. It definitely feels more like a boat. Let's see how it handles here on this corner. So according to the center screen here, when you put it into comfort mode, that is your more balanced setting, as it says. And it handles pretty decently in the corners. It definitely is a balanced setting. Let me just floor it real quick into a corner. Yeah, so the power is a little bit more delayed. It gives you a little bit more time to think about it. But coming through the corners, yeah, it still feels very planted. There are some nice tires on here as well. Let's go ahead and put it into Eco Pro mode. And now I can really tell that I think that engine has kicked off now, and I'm just kind of floating here at about 50 miles per hour. I'm gonna floor it in just a second here just to see how it handles. So as far as the steering in Eco Pro mode, it definitely is even more floaty, but it still feels pretty good and usable here. So I'm approaching a stop sign. I'm gonna go ahead and floor it. Okay. So yeah, it gives you even more time to think about what you really wanna do in Eco Pro mode. But still, I mean, this car is so much fun to drive. So let's talk about some other things. So the seats, the seating position and all that, the seats are very comfortable. I love the color. There's some pretty good visibility here. These mirrors are actually gigantic. And then you do have those little mirrors in the back as well. The only downside, I guess, to the overall visibility of this is that sloped roof design. It reminds me a lot of my my Stinger, where the roof is super slanted, and so you just have this little slot to look behind. A lot of times I just find myself using the side mirrors here. So other than that, guys, I mean, if you're getting an X4, especially if it's an M40i or even just the X4M, I mean, you really are going to be driving this thing in Sport Plus mode. I'm going to go ahead and put it on back here. I'm just really wanting to hound on this thing. Oh my gosh. This thing is so much fun. I don't even care about gas mileage. Honestly, you shouldn't either if you're getting one of these. I mean, you got this beautiful carbon fiber interior, nice sporty red leather. Oh, man, if this had a different exhaust sound, I'm not sure if that's picking up on camera. There definitely is some pumped in audio, but as far as the exhaust system, if they just gave us a little bit more burbles and stuff, because I can hear the burbles there, but they are muted significantly. Let's see if I can. So right around, I want to say 3,500 RPM. You can hear them, they're super muted. Man, if they just put a different exhaust on this thing or just let a couple of those through, this would easily be my favorite vehicle. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this review of this BMW X4 M40i. I certainly did. This thing is a blast to drive. So if you enjoyed this review, please consider liking the video. Consider subscribing as well if you're not a subscriber. I'd very much appreciate it. Keep in mind, I do have merch on my website, throttleonlymerch.com. Check it out if you want to. You get some pretty cool tees like this one. Thank you guys again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.